Are you sometimes stuck for lunch ideas or just want to make something a little bit different? In today's video, I'm going to share some tips for making a beautiful board of open Danish sandwiches. Hi, I'm Taryn. Welcome. I love making food fun, delicious and visually appealing. On this channel, I like to share my tips so that you can take your food to the next level. I hope you enjoy them and can implement them in your own kitchen. Well, what is an open Danish sandwich? Simply put, it's an open-faced sandwich made using only one slice of bread. It's usually a dense sourdough or a dark rye bread, and it's topped with meat or fish, spreads and garnishes. Since these are open and don't have a piece of bread on top, they're a canvas for creativity and for making something beautiful. Well, these open Danish sandwiches aren't going to make themselves, so let's get into it. These are the ingredients I have today. A loaf of bread, chutney, pesto and tomato relish. Got some mayonnaise already in a piping bag. We've got a selection of greens, some snow pea shoots, spring onion, chives and spinach. We've got a selection of meats, ham and salami. And we've got some avocado, boiled egg, cucumber and brie cheese, and some gherkins, sun-dried tomatoes and olives. Today I'm going to make these sandwiches with 3 different toppings. The first option will be ham, gherkin, chutney and brie. The second option is a vegetarian option with avocado, boiled egg and tomato relish. And the last option will have salami, cucumber, sun-dried tomato and pesto. But before we can get into making these, let's slice our bread. I'm slicing it on a very slight angle. This adds to the decorative look of these sandwiches. It also creates a slightly bigger surface area, which is especially good if you're using a smaller loaf of bread. Traditionally, you'd use a sourdough or dark rye bread, but I had a ciabatta loaf, so I'm using that today. Creativity is needed for the toppings. Will it be meats first or greens first? Will the greens act as a base or a garnish? There really aren't any rules. Just remember, this type of sandwich is decorative, so it needs to look fancy. Think about how you want to layer the ingredients. Think about creating contrast with the colours, and think about combining flavours that complement each other. Let's start with our ham sandwich. Lining up the pieces of bread, all facing the same way, keeps everything uniform. It also makes it so much easier to put these together, especially if you're doing a whole lot at once. Next comes the mayonnaise. Just a little zigzag on each piece is all that's needed. Traditionally, butter is added, but I personally prefer mayonnaise, and it's so easy to apply using a piping bag. Firstly, I'll add some greens. Just a few pieces on each slice of bread to act as a base and add some colour. I'm keeping them all in the same position on each slice to keep it uniform. When adding the ham, there are a few ways to add it decoratively, since that's what this sandwich is all about. I'm going to roll each piece of ham and add 3 rolls to the slice of bread. It looks more balanced this way than adding an even number. I've also staggered them slightly to create some more dimension. Another way you can fold the ham is to fold it in half and then sort of roll it into a cone shape. This looks great and adds a bit of height too. My ham is fairly thinly sliced, so it's very easy to fold. If your ham is thick, it might not be able to fold easily, but I'm sure you'll think of a creative way of placing it onto the bread. Next, I'll add the brie cheese. The colour is a nice contrast to the ham. I'm thinking about the positioning. If I put it parallel to the ham, it wouldn't have as much effect as angling it the other way. I'm also keeping them all going in the same direction for uniformity. A wee blob of chutney not only complements, but also adds to the flavours. I've chosen a dark coloured chutney for contrast with the lighter coloured cheese. Adding garnishes always finishes things off. This sandwich is getting a slice of gherkin and a halved olive. Pickled flavours like gherkin and olive combined with chutneys or relishes are a perfect combination with cold meats. Lastly, I'll chop some of these fresh chives from my garden. I'm sure you'll agree with me that the little splash of green completes this beautiful ham open Danish sandwich. Next we'll make our vegetarian sandwich with avocado, boiled egg and tomato relish. I've got my slices of bread lined up here and a mayonnaise zigzag on each one. This gives the bread a little moisture, otherwise it can dry out. I've got a green spinach leaf as a bit of a base, and I'll add a few snow pea shoots for a bit of added texture and flavour. Now I'm going to cut the avocado into thin strips. You could mash it and make a guacamole to thickly spread over the whole slice if you wanted to. Today I'm going to arrange the slices in fives on each slice of bread. It looks great to fan them out from a central point. Oops, I don't like that one. It's not fanned the same way as the others. Can you see that? I'm going to fix it up. Sometimes it's tricky to get them the same when you've got smaller slices on the ends. That's better. Consistency always helps with presentation. Next we can add the egg. It's a lovely contrast to the greens we already have on here. I'm going to cut a wedge, but rings would look nice too. These sandwiches are my take on the traditional open Danish sandwich. There really aren't any rules unless you're wanting to make it very traditional. Avocado and egg tastes so much better with a sprinkle of salt. I've chosen a tomato relish to complement these flavours and add some much needed red colour to these. And finally some spring onion. I've sliced it very thinly on an angle to add dimension. Well, what do you think? Let me know in the comments what some of your favourite flavour combinations are. Our last sandwich is our salami, cucumber, pesto and sun-dried tomato sandwich. Sometimes we don't have a topping that'll fold decoratively, like this salami. It's really too small in diameter. So instead, I'll just use it to cover the base and overlap the slices a little. Instead of having a leafy salad green on the base, I'll add these snow pea shoots on top of the salami base. We've also got some cucumber, which will add to the green colours. Similar to the ham sandwich, I'll arrange 3 slices per sandwich and overlap them. They'll look good positioned on a slight angle in the centre. I've got some delicious homemade spinach and walnut pesto to put on these. Isn't it a gorgeous bright green? And I love sun-dried tomatoes. They're a nice little pop of red to contrast with the green and will finish these off beautifully. This will be a lovely flavour combination. In fact, I think this would be the first one I'd choose. Let's plate our beautiful open Danish sandwiches. We could plate them all separately, but I've got this to create a beautiful sandwich board. I'm going to alternate the different fillings to create some variety and get a nice mix of the colours. I'm also going to make sure I keep all the slices of bread facing the same way. This is such a simple tip, but it will really make your presentation look professional. Doesn't this look like a delicious lunch? Each sandwich is beautiful and complete in itself. If you're looking for some more great lunch ideas, check out my video on making wraps. As a chef, there's a few things we never do when making wraps, so head over there to find out more about that. Happy open Danish sandwich making!